Welcome back to Wire and Active. If you have to understand a problem, then you should get in contact with people who are affected by it or people who are related to it. We've got someone in the studio who is known by everyone who's been watching Wire and Active, the host of our first season, the editor-in-chief of the CIO magazine, and a blogger, Rabia Gharib. Assalamu alaikum, Rabia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am also good. So, about this Prevention of Electronic Crimes Ordinance, we saw it being promoted in 2007,
Right.
And now the second version is here in 2009.
Yes.
Can you tell me what are the main differences?
I'll be as vague as the ordinance itself is. It's a lot longer. The sentence structure is a lot longer. And beyond that, I don't think there's too many differences. But I think they've gone a little out of their ways to incorporate things like SMS messaging, defamation online, cyber squatting, because there was so much vocal outburst against the first version. They've kind of gone ahead and added more English.
So how does it affect the IT world and the bloggers especially?
It scares them off on a continuing basis. It restricts whatever growth there is. See, there should be some sort of protection for some stakeholders. In this case, the only protection that seems to be in point in case is the leadership or the government itself. And that's always dangerous because the growth is going to come from your private sector, from citizens, journalists, from people from IT companies. And if they're so scared of actually doing anything online, you will hinder all prospect of growth.
So this is what I wanted to touch on. Citizen journalists. There's a lot of journalism by citizens going on. DawnNews also.
Right.
It also
Very
has
active.
it. So have you seen a decline in this trend?
It's, if anything, I've seen an increase in the number of posts and the number of tweets that actually go out, and I don't think it's going to reduce anytime soon. Look at any legislation once again as a dam. Not inferring to any dams which have been built or otherwise by the government, but if you try and restrict growth or restrict dialogue, it's going to come, there are cracks going to be developed in the dam. And I think that's what's going to happen with this. There's a flood of people who say, this is not right. This is not right at all.
But there might be a group of people who say that this is not right, but what the government's point of view is that this is for security. What's their take on that?
Whose security? And that's a question which perhaps you might want to ask them.
Security of the government, security of the people, security of all those who are users of the internet, security of everyone.
But you see, security shouldn't be confused by that democratic right of speech. I have a right to voice things against you if I like, even though I really like you. But beyond that, you can't really say nice things about the government only and don't say bad things. It is the right of every journalist and now every citizen journalist, which number about 18 or 20 million, to say what's wrong with the government or what's wrong with any leadership for that matter and rectify it.
You said that the SMS thing has also been included in this ordinance. What do you say about this? 14 years behind bars on sending a joke about the president or the prime minister or maybe the army?
There are also ways around that, and I don't think I've seen, actually I have seen a decrease in those kinds of SMSs, but I think then people have a lot of tongue-in-cheek humor also. For example, now people will say great things about the leadership and then expect the recipients of that SMS to kind of read between the lines.
Yes.
When you say that you have 90 million mobile phone users, you are restricting or scaring off those 90 million potential news reporters from actually putting content up, good or bad. They could be reporting things about which are wrong on their street, which you and I would never know about. But if you put in clauses like this, which actually shrug that responsibility off, they say, what the hell, we don't want to do this anymore. That particular clause I had to read through 50 times to actually understand, and I still don't understand it. So I mean, imagine the layperson on the road who just has this concept that SMS is bad. Don't use it at all. You're actually hurting a lot of people.
What do you suggest? What should be changed in these laws? I mean, okay, there is a security angle. The government wants to do something, but obviously then there's this online community who opposes it. Can there be a balance?
The government needs to, first of all, figure out what they want to achieve. Any ordinance has to have a specific purpose. The purpose of this particular ordinance seems to be to protect only one individual or one party. They need to be very proactive in saying that, okay, if we have not an ordinance, but perhaps a framework whereby it is bad to talk about a particular ethnic group, that I can understand. I mean, it's common sense. But if they have a specific framework as opposed to an ordinance, I think people with common sense will be more inclined to use common sense rather than, you know, because you try and censor me, I will go against that anyway, because there's no way you can stop anyone. And I don't think it's just the online community, I think it's also an offline community. People who read the paper, who want to share news items and everything, and I think they are also being hurt. Also, the international community, they tend to think of us as being extremely backward, which is not what Pakistan is supposed to be. You asked what the difference between the first and the second revisions were. There was so much outburst against the first revision. The entire community said, these are the changes which we think you need to take. In the second revision, not any of those changes have been taken into account. In fact, to the extent that during the meetings which were minuted to in between the first and second revision, the fact that the community had also spoken out against these specific points were not even minuted. So, I mean, we continue to make our case, but I don't think it's reciprocated from the other side. Despite the fact that in the first season of Wired and Active, I think it was the first episode, where the then head of NR3C actually said that, no, this is not the case, we're very open to dialogue. I'm not too sure if it is. You know, it's my word against yours, or our word against theirs.
My final question, Rabia, will it work? Will the ordinance work?
I don't think so. I mean, walk out on the road, how many of the other legislation actually works?
Thanks a lot for speaking to us. So this was Rabia Gharib talking to us about the Prevention of Electronic Crimes Ordinance, the 2009 version. We'll take a very short break here, and after the break we'll talk to the head of NR3C, which is the implementing authority. Let's see what they have to say about it. See you after the break.